South Korea's Air Force staged an aerial refueling drill earlier today amid escalating tensions on the Korean peninsula. A KC-330 aerial tanker refueled fighter jets in the air while flying at 530 kilometers per hour. This was made public in footage released by South Korea's Air Force. The Air Force said the KC-330 aerial tanker can fuel up to 15 F-35A fighter jets. This then enables the jets to fly for over an extra hour. Japan's defense minister has said that a ballistic missile launched by North Korea this morning had not fallen into the country's territory. The comments come as Japanese authorities had issued an alert for residents in the northern island of Hokkaido to take cover. The emergency warning system erroneously predicted that the missile will fall near the island. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has said that his country is back on the international stage. Lula's comments come at the start of his China trip. He's set to meet the head of China's biggest electronic car maker, BYD. He will also visit a research center run by telecom giant Huawei in Shanghai. Lula will then meet his counterpart Xi Jinping in Beijing on Friday. French President Emmanuel Macron has said that his country's position on Taiwan has not changed. According to Macron, France favors the current status quo in respect to the island. Macron added that France does not support provocations, does not support fantasy politics, and considers the status quo, respect and clarity are the best ally of Europe's strategic autonomy. Russia has published an outcome report on its probe into the activities of over 50 US biolaboratories in Ukraine. These laboratories are allegedly believed to be part of US efforts to develop a biological weapon in the name of anti-terrorism. Russia's report talks about how the US collected pathogens capable of affecting specific populations, flora and fauna. It also claims that the US conducted secret experiments on Ukrainian citizens. US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin met Ukraine's Prime Minister at the Pentagon. This comes at a time when the US national security agencies are investigating the leak of dozens of classified documents. During the meet, Austin gave assurances to the Ukrainian leader. He said that the US would lend military support to Ukraine's ongoing counteroffensive against Russia for as long as it takes. Russia has imposed sanctions on 333 Canadian officials and public figures. The Kremlin says this is a response to Canadian restrictions on Moscow and the country's support for Ukraine. The sanctioned individuals include Canada's Governor-General Mary Simon and more than 250 members of regional legislative assemblies. Canadian athletes who have publicly supported a ban on Russians competing at the 2024 Olympics have also been sanctioned. US firefighters are battling a massive fire at a recycling plant in Indiana's Richmond. The blaze has led to an evacuation order for more than 2,000 residents at risk of toxic fumes. Teams are taking samples of the water immediately surrounding the fire to test for possible contamination. Former US President Donald Trump is suing his former lawyer Michael Cohen for more than $500 million. The lawsuit comes after Cohen testified before a Manhattan grand jury. The jury went on to indict Trump on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Trump's indictment marks the first time in US history that a former president has been charged with a crime. The Sudanese army has warned of what it describes as a mobilization of forces and redeployment by the outlawed group, the Rapid Support Forces. The deployment is taking place in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, and other cities. Sudanese Armed Forces spokesman Nabil Abdallah Ali Mohammed said the RSF's movements represent a clear violation of law. The RSF has said in an earlier statement that it deploys across the country as part of its normal duties. Bahrain and Qatar have announced their decision to officially restore diplomatic relations. The two sides declared their decision to sever diplomatic ties 6 years ago. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain and Egypt broke ties with Qatar and put sanctions and a boycott on it in June 2017. They accused Qatar of supporting terrorism and undermining regional security. Ghana has become the first country to approve a new malaria vaccine. The vaccine has been described as a world changer by the scientists who developed it. The new vaccine is called R21. It appears to be hugely effective, in stark contrast to previous ventures in the same field. Ghana's drug regulators assessed the final trial data on the vaccine's safety and effectiveness before deciding to use it. The final trial data has not yet been made public. India, Japan and France have decided to announce a new platform for creditors to coordinate the restructuring of Sri Lanka's debt. The announcement was made by Japanese Finance Minister Shunichi Suzuki. He also mentioned that it would be very nice if China would join the initiative. Sri Lanka has secured a $2.9 billion bailout from the International Monetary Fund last month. E-cigarette maker Juul Labs will pay more than $460 million over 8 years to settle claims by 6 US states. The e-cigarette giant is trying to resolve claims that it unlawfully marketed its addictive products to minors. With this deal, Juul has now settled with 45 US states for more than $1 billion. The company did not admit wrongdoing in the settlement. Under pressure from regulators, Juul pulled most of its flavors from the market and halted much of its advertising in 2019. Authorities in Australia have warned of violent winds as tropical cyclone Ilsa approaches the region. Forecasters predict cyclone Ilsa to be a Category 4 storm. That would make it one of the most powerful cyclones that the region has seen in a decade. Researchers in Australia have repeatedly warned that climate change will amplify the risk of natural disasters. This includes bushfires, floods, and cyclones. The US state of Florida has been hit by floods. Parts of the state have received over 35 centimeters of rain. The National Weather Service reported that a flash flood emergency has been issued in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Some parts of the city are underwater. The situation is so bad that a pedestrian was seen swimming in floodwater. South Korea's capital, Seoul, is witnessing a dust storm. Dust particles are affecting air quality in the city. The Ministry of Environment has raised a yellow dust warning to caution Seoul residents. The world is expected to use a lower quantity of fossil fuels to produce electricity this year. This is according to a new report. This would be the first ever annual drop in the use of coal, oil and gas to generate electricity. Electricity generation is the single biggest contributor to global warming. It was responsible for over a third of energy-related carbon emissions in 2021. The Russian space agency Roscosmos has released footage of a volcano spewing ash after it erupted. The volcano is located in Russia's eastern Kamchatka region. Settlements near the volcano were showed covered in ash. People have been urged to stay at home. Schools in the nearby areas have been closed. Australia's wildlife officials have released endangered baby loggerhead turtles back into the wild in Sydney. It took several wildlife and animal rescue organizations to release the hatchlings. Loggerhead turtles usually inhabit the warmer parts of world oceans. They are present in the Mediterranean Sea, but they've mainly nested in a handful of places, including Florida, Oman, and Mozambique. US media organization National Public Radio has said it will no longer use Twitter. This comes as a protest against Twitter's label on their account. The social media company had labeled the organization's Twitter account as state-affiliated media. Twitter has now changed the label to government-funded media. South Korea's top court has asked Google to disclose the details of its information sharing practices. This comes after a lawsuit that was filed against the company and its South Korean unit in 2014. The company was accused of sharing user data through a US National Security Agency surveillance program. South Korea fined Google $32 million in a separate case earlier this week. Photo messaging app Snapchat has hired former Google executive Darshan Kantak to spearhead its digital ads team. Kantak previously managed Google search ads in Alphabet. The move comes as part of the company's efforts to improve the performance of its digital ads. Digital ad platforms like Snap have been severely hurt after Apple made major changes to its privacy rules in 2021. The changes made it easy for iPhone users to opt out of being tracked across apps. Italy has agreed to lift a ban on ChatGPT provided it meets the country's demands. Italy's data protection agency set out a list of demands for ChatGPT founder OpenAI. The authority requires OpenAI to inform users of the method and logic behind processing their data. This is one of the several requirements that the authority put up. Bankrupt crypto exchange FTX has recovered more than $7 billion in crypto assets. The company's attorney has said that FTX is now starting to chalk out its future plans. According to the attorney, FTX is negotiating with stakeholders about options for restarting the crypto exchange. Reports suggest that the company would require significant capital to restart the exchange. Indian payments firm PhonePe has raised an additional $100 million. This comes as part of the company's efforts to raise $1 billion. The company is looking to deploy the funds to strengthen its infrastructure. PhonePe is India's most valuable payments firm. The company's estimated value stands at $12 billion. According to media reports, the European Central Bank may raise interest rates by 25 basis points in its May meeting. Reports say that discussions are also on for a 50 basis point hike or no hike at all. Last month's banking sector crisis has increased the uncertainty regarding central bank decisions. The collapse of Credit Suisse last month rocked the financial system globally. British regulator Financial Reporting Council has charged accounting firm KPMG $1 million. It has charged the company for lapses in its audit procedure. Reports suggest the breaches include failures to review and critically assess the audit evidence. KPMG is one of the global Big Four accounting giants. Switzerland's parliament has rejected the financial guarantees it used to rescue Credit Suisse last month. The vote is a symbolic rebuke for the authorities. However, the government's financial commitment cannot be overturned. The Swiss Finance Ministry said, and I quote, "The decision has no impact on the takeover of Credit Suisse decided on March 19th. Japanese investment firm SoftBank is eyeing to sell almost all of its remaining shares in China's Alibaba group. Alibaba shares are one of the most valuable assets in SoftBank's portfolio. It had bought stakes in the Chinese conglomerate more than 2 decades ago with just $20 million. Alibaba had recently announced that it would split the company's operations into 6 business units. Moving on to sports, IPL 2023's match number 19 will be played between Kolkata Knight Riders and Sunrisers Hyderabad in Kolkata's Eden Gardens tomorrow evening. Kolkata Knight Riders are coming off a miraculous win over the table toppers Gujarat Titans. On the other hand, Sunrisers Hyderabad stunned every cricketing fan by defeating the in-form Punjab Kings side by a crushing margin in their last match. The KKR Sunrisers Hyderabad match will begin tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. IST. Chennai Super Kings lost to Rajasthan Royals by a slender 3-run margin in match number 17 of IPL 2023. This was played at Chennai's M.A. Chidambaram Stadium last evening. CSK needed 176 runs to chase in the 20 overs. However, the MS Dhoni-led side could only muster 172 for the loss of 6 wickets in a game which went down to the wire. In football, Sporting Lisbon are travelling to Turin to take on Juventus in the quarterfinals of the Europa League later this evening. Despite knocking out Premier League leaders Arsenal in the round of 16, head coach Ruben Amorim insists his side are still the outsiders. The return leg in Lisbon will be played on April 20th. Europa League specialists Sevilla are at Old Trafford to take on Manchester United in the first leg of the quarter-final later this evening. The Andalusian outfit have endured a disappointing season, hovering just above the relegation zone in La Liga. Sevilla last faced Manchester United in the 2019-2020 edition of the Europa League, defeating them 2-1 in the semi-finals. The second leg of the tie will be played in Sevilla on April 20th. European champions Real Madrid beat 10-man Chelsea 2-0 in their Champions League quarter-final first leg late last evening. A tap-in by Karim Benzema and a powerful strike by substitute Marco Asensio helped the Madristas snatch a crucial first-leg victory. Meanwhile, Chelsea's interim coach Frank Lampard has said that "I need to be the first one that believes that this is possible." He also said fans will boost them during the second leg at Stamford Bridge next week. Italy has submitted its bid to host the 2032 European Championship to European football's governing body, UEFA. Italy's football body said the tournament will be staged across multiple Italian cities if the bid is accepted. Turkey has also submitted a bid to host either the 2028 or the 2032 Euros. UEFA said it will evaluate each of the bids in the coming months. The European body's executive committee will vote on hosting rights for both tournaments in October. Britain and Ireland have said they would host the most watched European Championship yet if a joint bid to stage Euro 2028 is successful. The 10-stadium bid, formally submitted to UEFA on Wednesday by the 5 football associations, was described in a joint statement as low risk, high reward. UEFA will make its decision in September. UFC organizers have announced that YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul and ex-UFC fighter Nate Diaz will meet in a boxing match. This will be on August 5th in Dallas, Texas in the US. Diaz is an accomplished boxer who competed in the UFC until last year. Meanwhile, 28-year-old Paul will return to action after suffering the first loss of his boxing career at the hands of Tommy Fury in February. France's soft toy manufacturers are making hundreds of mascots in various sizes each day. This is in the run-up to the 2024 Paris Olympics. Phrygian caps will be the Paris 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games mascots. Organizers are looking to celebrate the French Revolution spirit. The red Phrygian caps come in 2 versions, the standard Olympic one and the Paralympic one with a blade leg. Professional BMX rider Chris Kyle rode at a custom bowl suspended at 200 feet under a hot air balloon. Kyle joined forces with Red Bull and their Formula One team to build a skate park in the sky for his jaw-dropping daredevil stunt. The trio settled on building a skate park held aloft by a giant hot air balloon. Actor Jamie Foxx has been hospitalized after a medical emergency. The news of his hospitalization was shared by his daughter Corinne Foxx on Wednesday. However, the cause of the emergency has not been disclosed. The actor was shooting a film in Atlanta in the US as recently as Monday. American country singer Brad Paisley visited Ukraine with a delegation of US senators. He performed in front of destroyed Russian military equipment in Kyiv. He sang a Ukrainian-language folk song in addition to his usual English songs. Paisley also sang for US troops stationed in Poland. Kpop group Xdotin has a new member and it's Indian origin singer Arya. Arya's real name is Gautami and she hails from Kerala in India. The 20-year-old has become the youngest member of the all-girl group. She's also the second K-pop star from India after Shreya Lenka. Arya made her K-pop debut with the song Keeping the Fire. K-pop band 17's 10th mini-album, FML, has received over 4 million pre-orders. Pre-order numbers had already crossed 2 million 3 days after the sales began. There are a total of 6 songs in the album. The album releases on the 24th of April. Rock band Blink-182 is set to perform at the Coachella Music Festival this weekend. This news comes ahead of the band's official tour that begins in May. The band reunited in 2022 after 8 years of separation. Fans can also catch the performances on Coachella's live stream. The festival begins on the 14th of April. Singer Machine Gun Kelly will release a concert film for his 2022 mainstream sellout tour. The film will be available on distribution platform Trafalgar Releasing. It will be screened only for a night on the 13th of May. It takes fans on a behind-the-scenes journey of the concert in the singer's hometown in Cleveland. The cast of the musical Phantom of the Opera is preparing for its final show. Broadway's longest-running show will end after 35 years. The final show will be performed on the 16th of April. Mounting production costs and low tourist footfall are cited as reasons behind the decision. The television series The Americans celebrated the 10th anniversary of its debut in New York. The spy drama premiered in January 2013. The event showcased series highlights. Conversations with the actors and the team were also part of the celebrations. Fox Network has announced its new reality series, Stars on Mars. It will simulate what it would be like for an astronaut on Mars. It will send participants to a simulator recreating the Red Planet. They will then compete in various missions. Actor William Shatner will serve as mission control. In 2021, Shatner became the oldest person ever to be sent to space. Actor Sylvester Stallone has signed a multi-year deal with Amazon Studios. The deal will see Stallone write, direct and star in film and television projects. His company, Balboa Productions, will undertake the development of these projects. The shows and movies will then stream on Amazon's OTT platform.
When I first saw